Our next guest comes to us on the Z's Cream and Bean Hotline, where he was assistant coach at Brunswick under Rich Nowak for 15 years, from 95 to 2009. Then he went on to head coach at Holy Name for 3 years. That was 2010 to 2012, where they were conference champs in 2011. He was head coach at Buckeye now for 3 years. It's 2013 till now, which will be his fourth season. They've been conference champs all 3 years in a row. They've reached the playoffs 3 years in a row, and he's starting his fourth season at Buckeye now. He is head coach of the Buckeye Bucks varsity football team. Coach Mark Pinzone joins us. And, Coach, thanks for taking time to join us today.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. And we love, like I said to you before when I was talking to you earlier, I really appreciate all that you and your team does for us and for Buckeye football and all the area teams. You guys do a great job. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Coach. We appreciate that. And we have a lot of fun doing it. But how's your summer been going so far? You know, I know in the beginning of the summer you probably can enjoy it a little bit, but now it's starting to get ramped up with doubles and getting the players working out and on the field and going a little bit.
Yeah, we've worked hard just like every other school. And the way we do it at Buckeye is probably somewhat similar to a lot of other schools, maybe not to the day, but in June we certainly did a lot of our working out and strength and conditioning and weight room stuff and, went outside, did some things in the good weather. And then in July, again, like a lot of other schools, we had a great 3-week instructional camp where we used those 10 days that the state of Ohio lets us use where it's, non-contact. And we had a great mini camp, we call it an instructional camp, but, the helmets and jerseys type thing where you can't hit, but you can put your offense in, you can put your defense and special teams in, and you can get some things done and, maybe use some 7-on-7s with other teams. And we had a great July. Our kids worked really hard. We gave them the last, usually what we do every year in our program is we give them the last week off. And so, this past week of July was the players and families weeks and the coaches week to get out and do what they want to do, whether it's go on vacation, spend time with their family and friends, rest up, take care of personal matters because, as it is tomorrow morning for the whole state of Ohio, tomorrow morning, August 1st, 7:30 for us in the morning, we start and the whistle blows and boy, those boys better be ready. And I think they are.
Well, Coach, did you go anywhere good on vacation while you had the chance to before?
I did. I took the family down to Florida. We go down to Fort Myers a couple times a year. We got a nice little place down there, so I took the wife and kids down there, and we did a lot of sweating in that hot, humid weather. But we were right by the beach, and we flew in on Friday night, and but I never can seem to get away from it too much. I mean, I had the computer and was watching some film and getting revved up and communicating with my coaches a little bit wherever they were at around the country. And everybody's back in town, and hopefully everybody gets a good night's sleep tonight, and we're good to go tomorrow.
Oh, very cool. And last year it was interesting because your team made it to the playoffs and lost in a crazy game. It was 35-28 to West Geauga. Your team ended up 10-1. They went 10-0 though in the regular season, and that's only the second time in Bucks history that it's happened, and it also hasn't happened since 2005. So talk a little bit about this last season and some of the seniors like Nathan Polidori and Trevor Tomey and all the other seniors that really made it special for you last year.
It really was, and right now we're going through a bit of a transition, and I'm trying to, we're trying to make sure we focus on the guys we have now. We have a core group of seniors and juniors that are just outstanding football players for this season, and I don't want to I want the focus to be on them, but to answer your question specifically tonight about last year, I'll say this: it was absolutely a special year, and I can't think of. I mean, I've been coaching 21 seasons at Brunswick, Holy Name, and Buckeye, and they've all been great seasons with special players and parents and coaches, and I've been blessed to be in this profession. And last year, sure, being 10-0 is a piece of it. Things are always sweeter when you win. You know that, but these young men that just graduated here a couple months ago, I'm certainly going to miss them. Our coaching staff's going to miss them. Our school's going to miss them. It was a group of seniors, along with the sophomores and juniors last year that played and our freshmen that contributed. We just had a great season, and a lot of reasons why we did well, but certainly the core reason was that senior group. And I think it's always about the seniors every year. Your season is going to be determined based on how good that senior class is. And, certainly juniors and sophomores help and contribute, and coaches and parents and everybody else are a piece of the puzzle, but it really comes down to those seniors an awful lot. And boy, were they good last year. Not only were they physically talented, but they were just good young men. They worked hard every day. They never complained. They stuck together. And, I have a phrase that some people are getting sick of me saying it, but we say that we work hard, play hard, and always stick together. And boy, that senior class last year, they just embodied that concept, that philosophy. And I really do think that the young men that we have going into this year, I'm sure you're probably going to ask that question about what's going to be like this year. I think that the young men that are now taking over for 2016 and beyond have embraced that. They've learned that, and they're ready to, I guess, for lack of a better word, take the torch on from the Nathan Polidoris and the Trevor Tomies and the Brad Caltas and all of the Nathan Scotts and all those guys, Jalen Brock, and all those guys that were such a huge part of our success the past year or two.
And Josh Jeffy had a question for this interview, and he wanted to ask about the success. You guys have had a ton of success ever since you came on board, and to get these kids really to believe in your philosophy and your program. Are you seeing more kids coming out to play for the program? Or, I'm sure in the beginning it might have been tough to get, a good turnout to come out, but how is it now?
Oh, it's real good. I mean, the numbers are there. It's all, the evidence is in the numbers. And when my staff and I got there in 2013, there was a grand total of 45 kids, 9 through 12th, and that was, that was a concern. Four grades full of kids, and we continually grew, and so here we are now in 2016, and we are right about 80, just under 80. There's a couple, maybes with the ninth graders, but we're right around 78 to 80 kids. So we've pretty much, just under doubled our size in the past 2-3 years. And a lot of that's because of, like I said, when success happens, people start buying in. It takes a while. I mean, the program had some issues, we'll say, when I got there, and that there was definitely some potential and absolutely some great people. There were great kids, great teachers, a great athletic director, administration, and an absolutely fantastic small, close-knit community that desperately wanted to do things right and wanted to win and wanted to be supportive and wanted to have a sport to support, and they absolutely showed that. And I just came in there and, it's not me. It's the great coaches. It's the great players and parents and administrators. And when you have all those people come together like that, people want to be a part of that. Not just the winning, but the positive experience. And so when you talk about a philosophy, I don't think my philosophy is anything that unique compared to any other, coach in the area. It's just a matter of, really bringing together the best people you can get. And so when you talk about philosophy, I think it's, step one is always going and getting every player you can out in the hallway of that school. You cast that net out like a fishing rod, and you get every kid you possibly can. And you may not get every last one, but you hope to get as many as you can. And then you get the best coaching staff you have. And I talk about our coaching staff a lot. I think it's not the only piece of the puzzle, but it's a big piece. And I've been very blessed to have fantastic coaches that are experienced, that are good friends of mine whom I trust, that I have a relationship with, that work hard, and they have the kids' best interest in mind, and they're teachers. They educate and teach. They're not just yelling coaches. They teach on the field. It's like being in a classroom, only we're on a grass field, and they're good at that. So we have a lot of people, doing great things, and I think that's part of the reason why the kids want to play. They're having a good experience over and above just the simple act of winning,
Well, I think it's a lot of fun to watch this Buckeye team play. And like you said, your coaches do an outstanding job in each area on the football field. You could tell that the players really look to you guys and build on that. And you guys had a great year last year. Now, how do you get your team from last year to jump into this next season with the same attitude and the same confidence?
There's no easy answer to that. You know that. I mean, I'm guessing like everybody, I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm putting my finger up against my head going, what do we do here? What do I do? But you know what? there's somebody said somewhere along the line, I know it wasn't my original words, but somebody said never underestimate the resiliency of youth, and kids are better than you think. They can rise to an occasion mentally and physically and with emotion and focus and effort and heart and passion, more than you think. You got to give kids credit. And sometimes when I think if you empower the kids a little bit and you give them the decision making and you be truthful with them, you don't try to trick them, I think that they'll respond in a more positive manner more often than not. And the approach that I've taken, I don't know if it's the right approach. I believe it is. I hope it is. And I've been very direct with the kids, and I tell them, I don't keep secrets from them. I tell them, I said, listen, we're in a unique situation here. For the past couple of years, we've been trying to improve and build the program and build the program and build the program. Well, now we're at this point where we've built it. Everything's in place, and it's not perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect program, but boy, we had a perfect regular season record, you know what I mean? And so I've told them, I said, listen, there's a lot of different types of people out there. There's going to be some naysayers out there that think that, we were maybe just a lucky one-hit wonder because we did have a fantastic senior class, and that's the truth. We did have I tell the kids, that senior class last year was darn good. What a great class. And, and you might be sick of hearing that. Maybe you're not, but that's the fact. They were good. And you've got other people that, think that because of that, maybe we're not going to be as good. We have other people that are very supportive of us and believe in us, which is great. But I tell the kids, hey, those people, they have high expectations of us. Now they expect us to go 10-0 every year. Well, that's not an easy, chore to complete. So I said, hey, the pressure's on, and the question is, how do you want to respond? Now, with that, I told them I have their back, and our coaches have their back, and I expect them to have each other's back, and no matter what happens, good, bad, or otherwise, we do what I always say. We work hard, we play hard, and no matter what, we always stick together.
We're with Coach Pinzone from the Buckeye Bucks. He's the head football coach there. And, Coach, you just told us a little bit about your seniors that left from last year. Now, talk a little bit about some of the players we should look out for in the upcoming season.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rob, our players that we have upcoming here are hard-working sons of guns. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of returning starters. In fact, on the offensive side, we have one returning starter, our offensive tackle, Hunter Gray, who's going to be a 3-year starter for us. And on defense, Hunter Gray also starts at defensive end, and then Dustin McCullough is a returning starter at linebacker. Our kicking game, we've got a couple starters too. Our punter, Brendan McBride, has been punting the past couple of years, and then Elijah Krupez and Richard Gatter are kickers, and they kicked for us last year. So we've got some special teams guys coming back, but by and large, it's a lot of new faces, some guys that may have saw some action, here and there in different points of the season, but weren't quote unquote starters. So the guys that we're looking for, skill-wise, certainly a lot of people are asking who replaces Nathan Polidori, our quarterback, the past couple of years. And while we're just getting ready to start here up with double sessions, right now we're looking at a young man who's an 11th grader named Adam Fowler, who's a real strong young man that's run our JV program real well, and we think he's ready. There's some other guys competing with him, but we hope that Adam's our quarterback, and it looks like that might be the case as long as things go the way we think. Justin Kennedy is a receiver who's a junior. He had an outstanding track season here this past spring as a sophomore. He saw some action, made some big plays for us in the West Geauga playoff game after Nate Scott, unfortunately, had gone down early in the game that night. So we look for Justin Kennedy to make some plays, and another junior named Johnny Neal should see some time. Up front, we've got some guys that we're really counting on besides Hunter. Dustin McCullough has learned to play some offensive line for us. We hope that he'll be able to help. And then juniors Turner Mitchell, Dominic Kriz, Spencer Murphy, Luke Conrad. We hope that those guys that are mostly juniors, with the exception of Dustin, can help up front on the offensive and defensive line. There's plenty of other guys that will be playing and that will be taking on some major roles. Mike Durgee is a guy that plays a little bit of everything for us at receiver, running back, defensive back. Josh England plays defense. There's quite a few guys, so I could go through, and keep going and going. I don't want to take your ear time, but I will tell you that there'll be a lot of new faces out there, with the exception of Hunter Gray and and Dustin McCullough will be the familiar faces, and that's about it. So we've got a big job ahead of us, but we're real confident that these new guys that have seen some time and been in our program for a few years, they're ready to take over the reins and do a great job in 2016.
Well, you did a great job describing all the players, and we're looking forward to covering them and seeing what they can do this year. But looking at your upcoming schedule, a lot of the same teams, but are there any teams on your schedule that scare you? I know you have, it looks like you have a few home games, and then it goes home, away, the rest of the way. You have Rocky River, and, of course, you have teams like Wellington, Keystone, Black River, some of the schools like that. Talk a little bit about your schedule and what you have coming up this season.
I think our schedule is real competitive. I think we're in a place geographically and in a conference, the Patriot Athletic Conference, that is a very competitive league. We tend to look at the beginning part of our season. You can only take one game at a time, and our first two games right out of the gate, Revere and Rocky River, are tough games. They're out of conference games. They're good schools. They're good, well-run programs. Rocky River specifically was a extremely competitive game last year out at their place. I know they'll be ready to play us. I think they're looking for a little revenge. So I've talked to our kids, and we know we need to be prepared for that. But we're 25 days or so away from that opener against Revere, and Revere had beaten us a couple of years in a row, and then we got them last year. So I think they're looking to come back and do some damage as well. So we've got a lot on our plate right out of the gate, those first two games, and it's one game at a time. And then when we get into the conference, I think the coaches and the programs in that conference have really worked hard over the years. Black River and Firelands and Keystone and Wellington and all the schools that have really worked hard to increase their numbers, to improve their programs, and I think you'll see some real competitive games on our schedule this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun to see how your Buckeye Bucks respond this year to some of the tough games that I'm sure they'll encounter. And, moving from, the players and the season and your teams that you're going to be playing, let's talk a little bit about your accomplishments. I know, you're very proud of these, and it goes back to the players and all the coaches that you've coached with, but just so people know, I mean, you've had 22 years of coaching experience, and it started at Brunswick, obviously, like I introed you before, but in the Northeast League Conference, you were Coach of the Year in 2011 at Holy Name. Then in the Patriot Athletic League Conference, you were Coach of the Year in 2014 and 15. That was at Buckeye. Then Medina County Gazette Coach of the Year in 2014 and 15. All Northeast Inland District Coach of the Year in 2014. And I thought this was really cool. The Cleveland Browns High School Coach of the Year in 2015. And I got to see some pictures, and you and the players had a chance to be on the field and recognized in front of a pretty large crowd. Talk about how cool that was for you and your players and everybody you've been around that really have helped you throughout this journey.
Well, Rob, thank you very much for all the nice words. That really does mean a lot, especially from a guy like you and your team that used to be in my classroom back in the good old days of Brunswick as ex-students and had opportunity to coach you guys back in your young days when you guys thought you knew everything. But I do appreciate the kind words, and there's no lying about it. Accomplishments are nice, and awards and plaques and trophies are wonderful and something to be proud of, and I think anybody will tell you that, any coach, any person that accomplishes anything in their career and helps your resume and your career, and those things are all very nice, and sure, I'm proud of that like anyone would be, but at this point in my life here, as far along as I am, I'm a middle-aged guy, and I'm blessed to have so many great things in my life, my family, and my teaching career at Brunswick High School, my personal business that I own, my financial advising business, and one of the things that's near and dear to me is the opportunity, the gift I have to be able to coach young men and be a positive influence on young men and be around the kids and their parents and their families and try my best to have a positive, meaningful impact on young men at the high school level through the segue of football. And in addition to that, my coaching staff that we have is just a great group of guys, various ages, various experience levels that I've had relationships with over the years as in coaching and in teaching. And some of these guys, I've coached and taught myself. And and now they work with me. And I really am blessed to be around such great football players and kids, great coaches, great parents. And the biggest thing about any of those accomplishments that you were kind enough to list off, and even the Cleveland Browns one that you asked about specifically, I really am. I'm honored to represent the school and the football team and the football program and our coaching staff and our community at Buckeye. The Browns do a great job. That was a very cool award. We got to go on the field. Some players surprised me. I didn't even know they were there. I didn't know I was going to get that award. I knew I was going to get the Coach of the Week award like the other coaches did, but I didn't know I was the Coach of the Year. And what was really nice is there was some funding, some donated money by the Cleveland Browns to Buckeye schools, or to Buckeye football rather. And so that was real nice that we were able to use some of those monies to enhance our program, to buy some equipment and reward our program and our players for a job well done. And my son was there too. My 9-year-old boy, Anthony, he was a ball boy for me. He was there. It was a beautiful day. The Browns actually won that game against the San Francisco 49ers, and Johnny Manziel was the quarterback that day. It did pretty well, and it was a good weather game in December, and that game was really, really neat. But all those accomplishments that, again, you were kind enough to rattle off, to me, they really do represent the hard work of our coaching staff and specifically our players in those years. And I simply, I get the luxury of being able to accept awards and smile and shake hands and take some credit, but I really, really believe in the bottom of my heart that I represent and I get to represent the players and the parents and the coaches and the program and the school overall. And I'm very honored by that, and that means a lot. So I try to remind our players and coaches and families that they won this award, and it may have my name on it, or it might be something that I get to accept at a ceremony. But my job is to represent our program, and I'm very blessed and very honored to do that.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking time to talk to us, and again, we look forward to covering you this year. Good luck this season.
Thanks, Rob, and thanks for all that you and your team do. I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Hopefully, after some wins, and we're smiling and laughing and yucking it up, and hopefully not struggling and beat up. So we'll cross our fingers. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
No problem, Coach. That's head coach of the Buckeye Bucks, Mark Pinzone, as he joins us on the Z's Cream and Bean Hotline. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network.